All right, thank you and welcome. I'm Ann Thompson, the president of the WICT Washington DC Baltimore Chapter, and this is episode 8 of WICT Wednesdays. And we are going to be talking about starting a nonprofit. So when not managing her day job as an IT program manager, Kimberly Evans is always cooking and always looking for ways to help her community. In 2018, she figured out a way to combine the two by selling apple pies to raise money for a family in need and raise $2,000. This year, she was asked to participate in a program to offer prepared lunches to people in need in Leesburg, Virginia. And she committed to help make 500 sandwiches and again sold apple pies. This time she raised over $5,500. Kim is the owner of Generations Gourmet Catering. She's a board member of the Community Foundation for Loudon and Northern Fauquier counties and is taking inspiration from the Prepared Lunches campaign for her next project, Feed Our Village. FeedOurVillage.org wants to take the backpack program to another level by bringing the option of hot meals to families in need. So welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to have such a passion for giving back to your community?
Yeah, so my background has always been telecommunications-based, finance. My parents were huge givers in the community. Not that they supported any one nonprofit. I always say they were their own nonprofit where they gave to people in need. My mom fed everyone in the community. I mean, if she heard someone was sick, my mom was delivering meals. Someone passed away, my mom's delivering meals. So she always kind of, took us with her. And as kids, you didn't get it. But that was definitely where my passion for giving came from, was definitely watching my parents as a kid.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly something that you have internalized because it always seems like you are always doing something. You're some fundraising campaign, giving back campaign. You've raised money for people with health issues. You've done coat drives. Can you tell us a little bit about what fueled your need to start Feed Our Village?
Like I said, my parents were a good base. They set that good foundation for giving. And I will say that by joining the Community Foundation as a board member last year, Community Foundation will tell you that they're very much boots on the ground. They are wrapped into every nonprofit organization in Loudon County. And I really got a full view of what was needed and kind of where the need was great, because they do a very good outline. And so we have our board meetings every couple of months, and we share topics and we share feedback from other nonprofits. And I noticed quickly that there was places where we probably could use a little bit of help. So taking I worked a lot with Hunger Relief on raising money, or whether it was raising, supplies for them. That turned into rolling into the backpack program. So someone had donated to me a ton of granola bars and cereal. And I called the school and I said, hey, can you guys use this for your program? That led to a conversation with the principal. And I said, well, does anybody ever give the backpack kids hot food? And they told me no. They said nobody's ever asked that. So I was able to, a big part of that is getting in touch with the liaisons. The parents like to be kept, these are kids who, we live in a system where unfortunately kids are bullied. So talking with the school again, they can remain anonymous, or they can tell me who they are. Well, about 200 families decided they wanted to tell me who they were. So that kind of kicked off our Thanksgiving meal drive that we did back in November, where I donated the turkeys, but I cooked all the sides for all the families. We delivered them personally to each family. And you really, sometimes I always say you do things and you wonder, like, is this going to the right group of people? And every house we went to, we realized we were at the right house. Wow. So I knew I wanted to grow the hot meal program, and not just hot meals, but hot, healthy meals. And by talking to Hunger Relief, they actually have a farm who donates supplies, and a lot of families don't know how to use the supplies. So they had reached out to me to do cooking classes and write menu cards so that people can take the produce and, give our kids fresh, healthy options. So I decided to kind of spin that into my own nonprofit, which will use healthy meals, hot meals that the kids will be able to take or be delivered to their house personally by myself or someone else.
Excellent. Yeah, I wasn't familiar when I read the brief you sent over. I wasn't familiar with the backpack program, not
Yeah.
having kids or, folks that I know who might be in. So can you explain what that is exactly?
Yeah. So the backpack program is a nonprofit organization where they collect supplies, and it's really for a lot of these latchkey kids or families that they rely on the school system to eat. So they have breakfast and lunch at school. The school will then pack a book bag from them for donations from the school, usually non-perishable canned foods, box craft macaroni and cheese. And like I said, what I quickly found from talking to liaisons at schools is they've come up with pretty crafty ways to get these home, because unfortunately kids are bullied and they know the book bag. So they came up with let's do matching book bags where they swap them out while the kids are at recess so they're not picked on. So they provide what they can, which a lot of times is nutritional. A lot of times it's just, like I said, boxed mac and cheese, applesauce, non-perishable, so that the kids have something to have when they get home, and they know the age of who else is in the house so they can send extras home in that book bag. And it could be leftover lunch or leftover breakfast. They have their system is impressive to step into an elementary school. I thought it was only in elementary school. It's actually in every school, including the high school. So across these counties, there's hundreds of kids that are participants in the backpack program. But again, it's non-perishable. So for me, bringing another level to that was hot meals going home that are healthy and nutritious, not the box, not the can, and things that, could stretch the family for, I was hoping for 3 to 5 days at times if I could do, items in bulk.
Right. Right. How difficult was it to organize putting all this together? Like, what was your process for putting it all on paper? Was there a business plan that one might do with a traditional for-profit company? You mentioned you hired a lawyer to do the paperwork stuff, but how difficult was it to sort of pull together that vision of what the organization would be?
So you're correct that there is a business plan involved, but oddly enough, for me, it was quite simple. And the reason it was simple is because I said I would not pay myself out of the nonprofit, which the attorneys who do this they were so surprised that someone said that. They were like, nobody's ever told us they weren't going to take any money out of it. They're not going to pay themselves. I'm like, no, this is 100% giving back. They were literally so kind to me from that statement that not only did they discount what I was paying them, they took on my paperwork.
Wow.
And so I wrote out kind of what I wanted to do. I will say that, you have to come up with a treasurer and some board members. But that was probably the easiest part for me, to select some people to be on my board, just to make sure I'm always making good decisions, or that collectively we talk about things, because you're going to have people who are going to, mail you checks, and there always needs to be that set of eyes, just so people continue to trust me. They've always trusted me, but to really put your stamp on a nonprofit, you want to make sure you're doing exactly what you said you were going to do. So the attorney process was very easy. They do everything for you. It takes about a total of 60 days. And they'll tell you that it may go a little over, but the more time is required if you are paying yourself, because they need all those specifics. But since I'm not doing that, it made it easier.
Right. Okay. You've built such a large network of friends, local businesses, other volunteers, literally, so that everybody knows, these apple pies. She's got a whole campaign, hashtag pie it forward, hashtag never take a dime for a pie. And I think you've managed to have this network where you get donations for everything. I've seen apples and huge things of apples, and the boxes that it comes in, and flour and sugar. Just about everything having to do with that. And do you see that this same network being an integral part of Feed Our Village going forward, or did you think of a plan to sort of expand your reach within both Loudon, and I don't know if Feed Our Village, if the plan is to extend also into Fauquier County, where you're already part of the other board. But is your core network basically going to be like, is this starting out, or is it going to expand farther beyond that?
I definitely see it expanding further to, I'm a Loudon County native. but I do see it expanding to, you know, Fairfax County and beyond, and Fauquier, wherever we can kind of get to. I think the good news is that the liaisons will put people at the top of the list who are most in need. So those are the people we try to touch first anyway. But I do see my network completely supporting me. I mean, I have people calling me all the time to come pick the fruit from their trees, and which I do. Or they'll pick it for me, and next thing I have a truck in front of my house and my husband's just shaking his head. He always jokes that it helps, but I do think that they will, you know, continue to support me. And, you know, I've reached out to a couple of corporate, you know, large business and said, hey, can you guys help? And they're like, you should set yourself up so we can really help you, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's key. And again, I think it's built off of trust and just good relationships. And I think people always say, you know, I have a saying, my parents had a saying that, you know, you do good things for good people and everything works out. Or, you know, I always say, if I could do it for free, then I do it for free because I love to do it.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, just people know my heart and passion. I'll always have a great network of people to help me with, you know, whether it's flour or sugar or whatever, or fruit. So.
Right, whatever is on the menu for today.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were having a kitchen trailer built, and there was something else in the description where you were talking about partnering with the schools, and just earlier when you were saying, you know, talking to the principals and sort of being behind the scenes with the schools. Is the concept to literally have the trailer like be mobile and go to schools in need, or like how is that going to work? Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So I will run my for-profit business from the trailer, but obviously anything that goes out of that trailer, a fraction of that cost is coming back in to feed other people. And, you know, we'll sell pies, but I really will eventually move into where that trailer is nonprofit. So we will go to the schools, or a lot of families can't get to us. So the main thing about the trailer was to make sure I was my own commissary. So I didn't need to set up anywhere else. I could use my home address. I had a place to store it. So a lot of the paperwork was that. So now that I know I can do that, I can go set up and give families, you know, hey, this day I'm going to give you meals, and get lists and say I need 50 meals. So, or, you know, I just have someone deliver it, kind of like DoorDash. I've done that before. So it's very easy for me to kind of take that step. And we will do it. I mean, I've already talked to the school. I said, look, once a week, we will set up to do, whether it's 50 meals or whether it's these 200 families that you currently have. And maybe we'll take, you know, the top whatever from, you know, 10 schools. And that'll be what I run for that day. I get a couple hands in the kitchen and we knock it out. I've had places donate me kitchen space, so we can get more people in. We're not just on the truck, you know? So yeah, so I think we're gonna be really busy once we open that up. But I think it's gonna be awesome to be able to give back and see how big we can grow it.
Yeah. And is the plan to continue this obviously year round, not just during the school year? Or
it's very important for me to continue it year round. I mean, with COVID, you know, the school has been open, and it's always been my concern. Well, what happens in the summertime? So the school does the best they can. Backpack program is right in there. Everybody does what they can, but what I'm finding is places like Hungry Leaf that are set up to assist us, you know, you have to get on a waiting list because there's so many people. So that has to be the way in every county, right? So I'm like, how can I help to, you know, really get in there? And it's really just a supply thing. So if I can get my supplies, we can feed more people, you know, a hot meal as opposed to something out of a can. So yeah.
Excellent. So my last question before I open it up to my stalwart, you seem to have lost Stacy, unfortunately, but I know she's kind of in a place where wonky Wi-Fi is. So how can people get involved? I know you were talking about, since COVID happened, things are kind of on hold until you're hoping June to really be able to re-ramp up. But yeah, how can people get involved to help?
So I am revamping. I'm going back into the for-profit probably in July, but in August is when we will go live with everything as far as, you know, feeding our village. And people are more than welcome to reach out to me then. I mean, I always share my phone number. I'll share my email address. I can send that to you, but just for people to reach out and say, hey, when you're ready to go, whether it is an extra set of hands, I will take it. Whether it's, hey, can I come chop for a day? or whether, hey, our company would like to get involved and donate some funds. I like to be very transparent. So I think, having people there to really see it, these companies, and say, hey, we gave her $500 and she put out 500 meals. And I think one thing I'm going to put on the website is like a tracker, so we can show like what this $100 did, or this $500, like this is how many meals, this is how many family. I think it's good to put those stats out there. But yeah, I will definitely, we put my email on, and people can reach out through the website or to me directly. Always welcome to help.
Excellent. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions for wonderful Kim?
I'm so glad you asked, Ann. Absolutely. Kim, thank you for that. And really congratulations on what sounds like stunningly impactful work. So
Thank you.
way to go. Could you talk, the hot question always is funding. Could you talk a little bit more about funding, what your targets are, whether you kind of handle that on your own, or whether you have a friend or associate that is designated to do development? What's your approach on that?
So initially, it's really just me, reaching out to corporate, a couple corporate, because I think what sometimes people get confused with is that they think, oh my God, it takes so much money to feed 200 people. And I'm like, no, it actually doesn't. I can probably do it for $500. And they look at me like, what? So definitely, getting our corporate in. And I think that, showing them like what this little bit will do and how many people we can help is huge for me. Also with my own for-profit, since I have my catering business, I'm going to funnel a lot of money into this to feed others. Catering is a great business to be in. I do a lot of family style, do a lot of personal chefing, and it puts me in contact with some pretty successful people. And they all are like, hey, tell us when you get going. So I do a lot of my own fundraising. The pies have been very successful for us. This year, I had a goal of doing a $10,000 fundraiser where I would sell 500 pies. I knew I could do it in probably about an hour, but the COVID happened and people needed, so I shifted it to there, and we donated that money, right? So we'll do it again. But I think our pie fundraiser, people were like, you need to add different pies. I'll do a lot of different pies now. And we'll run that a few times a year. And then also, personal funding for myself and maybe a couple, little outreach there.
Sure. Do you use that in branding and positioning your catering company? Do you tell your clients that some of the money goes to a great nonprofit like this?
I do. I absolutely do. And I tell them, it's 100%. It's separate from whatever you give to me. It goes to this. And like right now, my company was closed because of COVID. I didn't relaunch for spring. So I said, you guys can set up, and people actually gave to the lunches just based on the pie. And they also donated directly to the food pantries based on me giving them a meal when I opened. So it was like, there's that type of trust. And some people, I'm like, okay, I'm cheating. I'm going to bring this to you now. And so people have been getting food from me, right? Because I'm like, thank you for doing that. So, I think we were able to get an extra like $2,000 just off of me promising people food. I keep my little tracking list. So yeah.
That's great. I'd love to know more about your catering company. So maybe you can share information on that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we, in the organization that I serve, we always have a lot of hungry mouths to feed at the office when we're back in business. Also, I wanted to ask you about governance. In a lot of cases, a lot of nonprofits, of course, are dependent on a board of directors. Are you at that stage where you have people serving on a board, or you have officers? How have you managed that?
So we literally paused everything right before COVID. So I have not selected board. I have to get a board in place. I have to have my treasurer in place. The attorney needs to tell me like how many, but since it's so small and it's a startup, I'm on a board, I think there's 10 of us, but we're huge, right? So I have not gotten that far into it, which is why I kind of pushed my date out to August 1st for this,
Sure.
this in particular, but I don't see an issue with, selecting board or putting feelers out like, hey, you want to get on this board? I think it's going to be a pretty cool board. We're going to be laid back.
I have no doubt. That sounds great. Well, thank you, and good luck on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? All right.
No, Kim knows we'll be in touch.
I'm sorry, what was
I say Kim knows, we'll be in touch.
So there are two great articles that the Loudon Daily Mirror newspaper had about your first pie drive and then about the lunch drive that prompted this whole thing that was just finished or going on now. So when I load the video after this, I will be sure to include links to those. I will include a link to your catering website, and then a link obviously to Feed Our Village. Once that's up and going, I can always update it. So I want to thank you. This was wonderful. It's great to talk to you. You know,
Hey, Ann.
Pleasure. I've known Kim.
I want to interrupt for a second. At the time we're having this conversation, of course, it's getting on dinner time here. And just the sheer mention of pies has me salivating. Kim, I have to ask you more about baking pies. What your favorite ingredients are and what your biggest sellers are.
My biggest seller is the apple, but that's apple year round. Peach comes in second, but I will only make it during peach season when I can pick my own. But I have to tell you, if you're a fan of peanut butter, I have been making this peanut butter pie, and it is hands down probably my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. So I tell you what, Bethesda is not far from me. I will find out where you live, and we will make sure that we'll give you one of each so you can try, you can test, you can tell me which one you like.
No, you don't have to give me anything. I'll buy them from you. But
now,
and Bill would like a dozen of the peanut butter pies, I think.
Okay. Well, I will make sure. I'm a woman of my word, and trust me, you will get pies.
we can shuttle them. We can meet halfway. I'll pick them up. We can take them further to Bethesda since we're
there you go, Bill.
Sounds great. That's perfect. I love it. Thank you.
It's teamwork.
Definitely say that the cooking is amazing. So
yes,
everybody look up Kim because everything's good. Thank you so much. And have a great rest of your Wednesday. Hopefully everyone will be having their own amazing dinners. And thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.